What's happening, guys? It's been a long time. Been quite a while since I sat down with you guys and chatted. It's long overdue, man. I miss you guys. I miss my community. So I'm back today. It's been a while. I have a lot to catch you up on. First and foremost, got a haircut. Something new for the channel. It's summertime, just needed to get the hairs cut. It's been too hot. It's been like 90 degrees every day. So gonna rock this, sport this look for a little bit, but today's video is gonna be a lot of catching up. There's a few things we need to discuss, like hitting 7,000 subscribers. So psyched about that. A lot of you asked me to do a Q&A once we hit 7K, so that's what we're gonna do today. I'm also gonna be doing an oil change on the Prelude. So I'm gonna head over to, actually Walmart has the filter that I want really cheap. So I'm gonna head over to Walmart now and grab what we need for the oil change. And while I'm doing that, I'm just gonna do the Q&A and catch you guys up on just kind of like what I've been up to for the last, it feels like a month, man. But there's been a lot going on. The absence has been, I wouldn't say expected per se, but don't worry guys, like the content is coming back. I've been busy securing the bag, so trust me on that. The channel's gonna be coming back and better than ever, so stay tuned. But let's, for now, I guess, get this Prelude started and head to Wally World. Wow, I have installed this thing in so long. Oh my gosh. That was hilarious. With COVID and everything, it's just been, from a freelance aspect, it's been really tough for me. The inconsistency of work was really starting to take its toll, and I've been busy this last probably month actually working for a new company that I've been doing social media, videography, and photography for. So I'm right in the niche that I want to be in, and I'm happy to say it's consistent work for me. So that's really what's been keeping my time a little bit more occupied since, like I said, for about the past month or so. I've really just been working on that, trying to get comfortable in the job and whatnot and make sure I'm fulfilling all the duties. So I'm happy to say it's been going great. It's nice to have consistent work, and I just need to work on my balance between my own YouTube channel and doing freelance stuff. So that's kind of what I've been up to. In the last month, there's been it's just been busy. It's been crazy. So I'm really ready to get back into the channel and start creating some more content on a consistent basis. And now we have some dinero and funds to make some stuff happen on both of the cars. Now, just in the last few weeks, the channel hit 7,000 subscribers. 7,000 of you now have subbed to the channel. It's such like a huge milestone for me. I know like it's not a numbers game. Well, it's kind of a numbers game, but just to have a community that backs me in that way, and to have that large group of people out there who genuinely just want something to watch and entertain them and hopefully gain some knowledge out of it, it's crazy. I honestly, when I started this channel, never would have thought we would have even come this far. I'm super stoked that we have, and I know the sky's the limit with this one, guys. So whatever we can do to keep the channel growing and get more people involved and just let the people know that we're here and making content, it's just been awesome. So thank you guys so much for 7,000 subscribers. It's a huge milestone for me. 10,000 coming next, I promise you that. Just made it to the world's dinkiest little Walmart, but apparently they have the oil filter and the oil I need. So I'll see you guys in 1 sec. All right, little 5WD-30 and half opened K&N oil filter. Should be good shit, guys. I definitely hope someday soon we can stop wearing these masks and COVID will just be behind us. But guys, I got everything I need. Let's go ahead and head back home and start this oil change. I am like dying right now. Jeans were a bad choice. It's already like 85 degrees, but I actually made a list of all your guys' questions for the Q&A for hitting 7,000 subscribers. So like I said, I'm just gonna start answering those as we go throughout today's video. Grab my handy dandy little list here. The first question from @con.cars is, what is the best car and the worst car you've ever driven? That is a tough question because one, I haven't driven all that many different cars, and the ones I have driven, I don't know, I guess it's slighted because the cars I own, I feel like are the most fun to drive, and that's kind of why I bought them. So the best car I think I've ever driven is probably this Prelude right here. Now that it's manual swapped, this thing is like so much fun, and the BMW guys are gonna hate me, but it's way more fun to drive than the 328. Just because it's stick shift now, it's so zippy and torquey. It's not a high horsepower car, but the way the chassis is situated, it just corners like a boss, and it's real torquey now that I can actually manually shift the gears and kind of rev out my gears a bit more than the auto would let me do. So best car I've ever driven, 1988 Honda Prelude, B28.3, single overhead cam, A1. Now for the worst car I've ever driven. If you guys haven't been on or following the channel for a while, I used to work at Hertz Rental Car. So there I got to test drive a lot of different cars, and that is definitely where I drove the worst car I've ever driven. And that would be, at the time, it was a 2018 Chevy Spark. My gosh, that car should have never been produced, should have never made it to market. I don't know what they were thinking when the designers and the engineers brought that to the table and they're like, yep, that's a winner. Let's put it to production. Driving the Chevy Spark was miserable. Like, that car just made me feel unsafe. Getting onto the highway and getting up to highway speeds was just utterly frightening, even more so than when I had this Prelude with an automatic tranny. I mean, this thing took forever to get up to like 60 miles an hour, but this car then put the Chevy Spark to shame. Like, that car, even though it was a brand new like Chevy Spark at the time, rattled a bunch, was just so tiny, and like just being on the highway just made me feel nothing but unsafe. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I definitely was not a fan of the Chevy Spark, and that is going to be the worst car that I have ever driven. All right, let's see here. Next question comes in from @HQ_BMW. Any new mods for the F30? F30 is a heavy topic right now for me. I'm gonna be doing a video here very soon, specifically on catching you guys up on the F30. I gotta be honest right now, there's just so many issues going on with it that I feel like it's just better to let it sit, and I'm not gonna drive it for a while until I can sort out those issues. And unfortunately, it is BMW dealership related, recall related, and I'm just kind of having to battle with that right now to get it sorted out. And I don't wanna necessarily talk about it too much until I know what's gonna happen and what's gonna go on and what BMW is gonna own up to really fixing. So new mods for the BMW right now are kind of on hold. Definitely like stuff I have in mind for the car. I know I want to do some changes to the exhaust. I want to possibly bring out the tips a bit more. I also want to dial in the fitment as well. I want to maybe even do some spacers on the rear to kind of bring them out a bit more and just get a better stance from the back wheels. The front wheels are on point, but the rears I want to work on. I also want to revamp and do like a version 2 of my aero kit, whether that's totally starting from scratch or possibly just modifying the aero kit, the one that I had already built, and just kind of making it fit a little bit better. So that's kind of what's on the list for the F30, but like I said, right now the car's got some issues. I gotta get it sorted out with BMW first before I go ahead and talk about it too much, but I promise I will update you guys in its own video, all the issues, everything that's been going on, and you'll know very soon. Here's a quick one from @Teddy_Bear876 asks, what front lips, side skirts, and rear lips, and what car are they from? And I believe you're talking about the Prelude. If you're talking about the F30, I made them by hand, that's homemade. But if you're talking about the Prelude, this front lip up here is off of a 1994 Accord. It's the Type R front lip. It did take a little bit of modification to make it work, some cutting on the edges to make it fit, and then lots of heat and lots of screws to make this bend work here, because the Accord bumper is much more round than the Prelude bumper, which is far more squared. So it does take a little bit of work and time to make it fit, but actually the entire aero kit is from an Accord. The side skirts and the rear skirt on the bumper is also, actually it's a stock OEM skirt that comes off of a 1994 to 95 Accord, I believe. So yeah, I found it at a local junkyard. Again, a little bit of chopping, modification needed to make it fit, but I'm super stoked with how the Prelude looks. I love that it's kind of Frankenstein a bit with Accord parts, Integra parts, Peugeot spoiler. So it's come a long ways, and yeah, I've gotten good feedback on the body kit or aero kit, whatever you want to call it. So definitely makes the car look a little bit different and kind of sets it apart from all the others. But that is hopefully a good answer to your question, my man. And for all you guys wondering, the BMW is still chilling. It's parked in the garage where it'll stay for a little while. But like I said, just got to get some things sorted out on it before we take it back out on the streets. And right now I'm just letting the Prelude kind of cool down a bit. I obviously don't want to be putting my hands near hot oil when I'm doing the oil change. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that chill for a little bit. I've got more questions to go through here, so let's jump on to the next one. This next question, I genuinely laughed at when I read it for the first time. This one comes in from @Cody_LMAO. He asks, did you talk crap about Hondas before you owned one? The answer to that is very much yes. The way I saw Hondas before I owned one, it was like just hard to get on board because where I live, there's a lot of, I don't even know how to explain it, but I guess because Hondas are cheap and easy to work on and they're just cheap to modify and stuff, I think a lot of people look at that as like, let's just put everything we possibly can on my Honda and make it sound as crazy as possible. So like the fart can exhaust stigma, the revving, like rum, 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 like everyone like mashes on their pedals to get their Hondas going. And now I kind of get it owning a manual Honda, but yeah, I definitely talked a lot of crap about Honda owners, and I definitely take it all back. Like I understand now that I've owned one, that it's just a different culture than kind of the Euro side of things that I was on, and it's not a bad thing at all. Actually, I really enjoy the Honda culture. It turns out that those guys are the most down-to-earth, awesome group of people that I've ever really come in contact with, and everyone's just so excited and so open to help you with things. And yeah, I actually cannot say a bad thing about the Honda community anymore. So to answer your question, yes, I was a hater, now a big time lover of the Honda fam. And while that's cooling down, I'll show you guys real quick what I picked up from Walmart. And if you guys do the same thing, turns out Walmart actually has this stuff quite a bit cheaper than like AutoZone. So what I grabbed was some full synthetic 5W30 from Mobile One. I've been using this for a few years now. And last time I didn't get this one because they were out of stock, but big fan of the K&N filter for the Honda Prelude. Because it does come with like a little wrench thing, I'll show you, actually if I can get it out of the box. You can actually put a socket on the end of this to tighten it, which I think is really cool. And the filter itself is just a lot smaller. It doesn't take up as much space. It's a little bit easier because it's already pretty difficult to get your hand up where the filter goes. So having a smaller filter is definitely helpful. And the K&N part number here for the single overhead cam B20A3 motor is HP-1004. Again, while we're waiting for this thing to cool down, may as well get it, or at least the front end, up on jack stands and get everything set up we're gonna need to kind of just bang out this oil change. Oh, just gotta go on wood blocks. Next question comes in from my man Extreme Daily Drivers. He asks, what's the next build? And with everything going on right now with the F30, it's just been something that's been on my mind is what's next? And well, to be honest, if I were to hypothetically get rid of the F30, because I definitely don't have room for 3 cars right now, so one's gotta go, and this one's not going anywhere. So if I were to get a new car, maybe sell the F30, I would honestly love to get something still BMW. I would love to either get an E30 or an E36. Doesn't have to be an M3, would be super tight if it was, but doesn't have to be. Really what I would be looking for is a clean chassis, kind of similar with the Prelude, just a clean chassis that I can continue to build and work on. Motor swap, tranny swap if need be. Like, I just want something that isn't rusted out and something that I can continue to just build upon over the years. And that would honestly be a really cool build to work on, especially with all the aftermarket support on like the E36. I just think it would be a fun car to build on the channel, especially since the parts are a little bit easier to find. It would be like doing an old Prelude, except not so hard to find parts and to find information on how to build it. So ideally, I would like to get into an E36 M3. I might even just go even older, get an E30, and that would be a pretty cool project for me and something I would definitely look into purchasing here in the near future. Next question comes in from @Sammy_Sharif03. He says, or she says, engine swap question mark. And well, to be honest guys, I'm doing everything I can with this this carbureted motor on the Prelude right now, and I'm assuming you're talking about the Prelude. I would love to do an engine swap, maybe nothing even crazy. Might even just do the fuel injected swap for this thing and put a B28.5 in it. I mean, we'll see how the channel goes and honestly how much we grow, and if we can build partnerships with companies that will help work with me on, you know, parts and engines and whatnot, that would be way more helpful. And in which case maybe we could do another B series swap or maybe an H22 swap. Something cool for this Prelude would be something just to make it unique, faster. But to be honest, I'm just gonna rock with this thing for a little bit, and it's just, I'm enjoying the manual transmission. I'm really not in a rush to go ahead and swap it anymore. So down the line, yes, not quite yet. And now, Robo2719 asks, would you ever buy an old CRX to build as a track car, or maybe a Honda motorcycle? And I guess that would be a two-part question. Always have loved the CRX. I think it's just, well, again, one of those older Hondas that just you don't see too much anymore, especially in good shape. It's a lot like the Prelude. And to build a CRX, I mean, to be honest, I have no idea if those make good track cars or not, but sounds pretty cool to me. So I mean, it's something I'd be open to. I don't know if it would be the first thing I would buy. As we talked about the E30 and the E36, those would be probably a little bit higher on my list of to-dos. But again, a CRX would be pretty sweet. And a motorcycle, something I've thought about. Curse me for tightening this so much. It's something I've thought about, and honestly, if I'm living in Massachusetts, I'm not gonna buy a motorcycle. The drivers around here are way too sketchy, and I've heard and seen too many accidents, especially with motorcycles being involved, people just not paying attention, being on their phone. I think I'm gonna need the mallet. Hold on. Yeah, just too many horror stories here in Mass and New Hampshire of motorcyclists not at fault, getting either hurt, seriously injured, or even unfortunately killed in some cases. So I just don't have the faith in other people and other drivers to get one. So if I ever moved somewhere where either the drivers were way more chill and courteous and paying attention, there we go. Then, and at that point, I would consider getting a motorcycle. I guess another situation where I might get a motorcycle is if I used it just for, I guess, like track purposes, and was never really on a public road. That would be another opportunity. But again, guys, just this Prelude without airbags and working seatbelts already sketches me out enough driving, and to be on a motorcycle on the same roads would just be pretty frightening and honestly not as enjoyable as I would want it to be. So I hope that answers your question. Let's go ahead and burn my hand on some pretty warm oil. It's definitely black. It's definitely time. It's definitely time to get it done. So I'm glad we're doing this today. Oh, here we go. All right, this is the part where I always spill. Yeah. Oh, I still spilled. Not that bad though. Go ahead and let that drain out for a few minutes. And wow, that's really black. I feel like I did this not that long ago, but I guess it's time. Sun is out today, boys. Look at those wheels glistening. I think we'll hop in the car here real quick. might get some shade. I left the sunroof open, so there's no shade. But anyways, the next question comes in from @Lek-Sure. You guys have such creative names, Lecture. That's awesome. So he asks if I will be coming to LA again soon. And I think you're referring to when I was out there working with USR Auto. Shout out to those guys. I had a blast working with them, and we did talk about some future plans, so hopefully there'll be another reason to go back out to LA. Probably just kind of waiting for this whole COVID thing to slow down, and then we'll kind of hopefully pick things back up. But definitely on my to-do list. LA was so much fun, and I would definitely love to get back out there and see the USR team again. And yeah, just if I can make that trip happen, best believe I will. Looks like we're just getting that slow drip now, so I would say we should be all set to, actually before I put the plug back in, whoa, a little break there, I'm gonna go ahead and just dump a little bit of new oil in the top to let it continue to drain out and just pick up any of that loose old oil and try and get as much out as we can. Then we can put the plug back in and fill her up, new oil filter. Oh yeah, oil filter, forgot. Time to go make more of a mess. Oil filter is always so much fun to get out because it's like, oh, I guess I did use a K&N last time. Sweet, so your oil filter, if you guys don't know, it's like kind of right above this flex pipe here, right by the half shaft. And yes, it is kind of a pain in the ass. If you don't have a wrench or anything, it could be a pain to get off. Old oil and oil filter are out. So we can go ahead and I'm just gonna like tilt this so it all drains in there. Trying to make as little of a mess as I possibly can. And now we can go ahead and throw the new oil filter on, which is right there. And then we just need to put oil back into it. Hopefully the last time we have to get under the car, at least for today. And this next question comes from my buddy @Sam_Castle. Asks, how and when did you get into cars? That's a good question. I've been into cars since I was really young. Like I initially started at like, I don't know, between 6 and 9 years old. I started collecting Matchbox cars. I was a big fan of those. And my dad had always been, he never had like the coolest cars. So Dad, if you're watching this, sorry. He never had like the coolest cars, but he took good care of them and really taught me a lot about cars and just how to take care of them, which basically just created that interest in them altogether for me. Which way, righty tighty, lefty loosey, like that. So really just, I gotta give it, you know, to my dad on that one for getting me into cars initially. Once I got my first car, which was a 1999 Passat when I was about 15 and a half years old. It was a turbo Passat, and I thought it was pretty cool to have a turbo car. I didn't do a whole lot to that car, but I, you know, wheels, headlights, badgeless grille, tints, audio, subwoofer, all that stuff that a typical high schooler does to their car. So that's really what got me started. And ever since then, it's just been a growing interest. And once I got the F30, that's when stuff really popped off for me and really realized what modding a car was like and how you can make it your own and all that stuff. So I would say when I was 8 or 9 is probably when I got interested in cars, and just personal interest, and my dad would be the reason why I am still interested in cars. And since yesterday was Father's Day, I should mention Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, whether you're father of a human being, father of a dog, a cat. Hey man, Father's Day is Father's Day, and shout out to all the dads out there from Elevated Media. You guys deserve it. Well, I think the oil filter is on there. Got it hand tight. Tried tightening it a little bit. Unfortunately, I didn't have a socket that would fit onto the end of that K&N, so a little use of the vice grips seemed to do the job, and I feel pretty good about that. I just want to make sure it's on there as snug as possible, because if you guys don't know, vibration from the motor and heat will slowly start to loosen the filter, and if that happens, you'll lose your oil pressure pretty darn quick, and might end up seizing the motor. So just want to make sure you get that on there snug. Make sure you get the drain bolt back on there nice and snug, and we should be in good shape. So we'll jump back up to the top of the car. I think we have one more question to answer, and then we should be all set, guys. Now I think we're ready to Go ahead and put some oil back in. What is our last question? Comes in from @JorgePLPZ15, I believe. Asks how to fold sides of front lip. I guess that kind of goes back to like the first or second question we had about the body kit on the Prelude. I think it kind of already answered it too, but essentially you just have to heat up the plastic. I used a heat gun, and then you basically just want to slowly screw the front lip into, dude, how do you open this thing? Ugh. Why is today so challenging? That was super hard to get off. So yeah, the front lip, you kind of just have to take your time with it, bend it, and then put a screw in, bend it, put a screw in, and just work your way around. That's honestly the best way that I find to do it, and it's been working for me. So the front lip's been in good shape. It hasn't fallen off. It hasn't been warped at all. So you just got to be patient with it. I'll try and put a card up for the video where I do that. So I don't know if you just didn't catch that video or whatnot, but I do explain it all and show you guys in depth on how I actually fit that front lip on. So yeah, I think that's all the questions. So thank you guys so much for chiming in, and it was actually one of you guys that asked to do a 7,000 subscriber Q&A. So shout out to you, man, for asking, and I'm glad I was able to make that happen. Hopefully answered some of your questions. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, that's typically where I do my question polls. So if you guys ever have future questions, that's where you'll want to basically make sure you're following me, and just keep an eye out for that. But let's see, we got probably about 3 quarts in there right now. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little more in, and then we'll stop and check the dipstick to see where the level's at. All right, and we'll check it again, guys. It's just honestly trial and error. And even once you get it to where you want it, you'll want to run the car and let the oil heat up, and then check it again, because you may find that once the oil has moved through the motor, you'll still be a little bit low. But actually right there, I'll show you guys, but the oil is brand new and crystal clear, so you can't see, but it's right on the fill line. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop there, and we'll take the filter out, and we'll put our cap back in. And once I get that tightened, we should be good to start the car. And little tip, if you guys haven't seen this before, I usually take like a little socket end or something with a flat edge, and then I just slightly tap it to make sure that this cap is on there nice and snug, and it's not going to come loose or fly off on us when the engine gets hot and starts heating up. So guys, that should be it. I'm going to go ahead and start the car, and should be all set. Starts. That's a good sign. That will wrap it up for today's video. Thank you guys so much again for 7,000 subscribers. The community is awesome. You guys are awesome. I can't wait until we hit higher numbers. I think we'll do another, let's say 10K. We'll do another Q&A. And again, make sure you're following me on Instagram so you don't miss that poll and the opportunity to submit your questions. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this video, let's give it a big thumbs up first, and then let's see if we can hit that 10K mark. Let's say by July, the end of July. Can we hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of July? So that's the goal. I'll be back soon with more content, hopefully more stuff on this F30. And outside of that, guys, keep elevating. I'll see you next time. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and peace out.